If natural selection ruthlessly weeds out fitness-reducing traits over millions of years, why are we prone to chronic anxiety, heart disease, and profound isolation? The reality is that our bodies and minds are not defective. They are performing exactly as they were designed to. They are just operating in a world that no longer exists. For almost all of our history, humans lived in the environment of evolutionary adaptedness. Our ancestors spent hundreds of thousands of years navigating landscapes defined by extreme physical danger and severe caloric scarcity. Every physical impulse and psychological reflex we possess today was forged by the daily pressure of surviving that unforgiving ancient baseline. Early humans survived not through raw aggression, but by favoring friendliness and cooperation. Like the bonobos, our ancestors underwent a process of self-domestication, thriving because we were willing to bond with and help those around us. But maintaining all those social bonds came with a steep biological cost. Processing complex social interactions requires a massive, energy-hungry section of the brain called the neocortex. By comparing primate species, researchers found a precise correlation between the volume of the neocortex and the average size of a species' social group. Applied to humans, we hit Dunbar's number, a cognitive limit of roughly 150 stable relationships. Staying under this cap meant a tribe could operate efficiently. Individuals could track reputations, use gossip to enforce rules, and banish those who took without contributing. In the ancient world, limiting your social circle to that cognitive boundary was the ultimate prerequisite for maintaining social cohesion and individual survival. Natural selection only selects for reproductive fitness. It is indifferent to our long-term happiness or comfort, so long as we survive long enough to pass on our genes. When calories were sparse, our biology developed an intense instinct to gorge on high-fat, sugary foods whenever they were available, and to actively hoard that energy as body fat. We were also wired for extreme energy conservation. The safest biological bet was to rest deeply and avoid any unnecessary physical exertion whenever possible. What modern society labels as gluttony or laziness were originally highly efficient, perfectly telegraphed survival strategies. They were the exact behaviors that prevented our ancestors from starving. This efficiency applied to our psychological hardware too. Deep inside the brain is the amygdala, the central hub for detecting threats and triggering fear. This biological schematic highlights the amygdala, which evolved with a deliberately low threshold for fear. It was essentially pinned in a state of high alert, ready to trigger rapid heart rates and hypervigilance at the slightest provocation. The triggers for this alarm were intense and immediate, like approaching predators, attacks from rival groups, or being socially excluded. In the ancestral environment, a hypervigilant brain was a life-saving asset. To our ancestors, the cost of a false alarm was a momentary spike in adrenaline, while the cost of ignoring a real threat was death. This chart illustrates evolutionary mismatch. When a species' flat line of genetic adaptation is violently intersected by a steep curve of environmental change, biology falls behind. Drop an ancient instinct to hoard fat into modern caloric abundance, and this gap creates disease. The same mismatch applies to the amygdala. Today, symbolic threats, like an urgent work email or a harsh comment on social media, trigger the exact same life-or-death physiological stress response that a predator would have. The modern epidemic of chronic anxiety is the inevitable result of a Stone Age alarm system endlessly misfiring in a hyperstimulated digital environment. And then there's the social mismatch. We took a brain hardwired for 150 relationships and dropped it into environments housing millions of people. To see what happens when a social species severely overloads its spatial and cognitive limits, we can look at the population density experiments conducted by ethologist John B. Calhoun. In his studies on rodents, Calhoun designed enclosures that removed all traditional threats. As shown in this research diagram, the animals were provided with infinite food and water, but the physical space was strictly confined. As the population expanded beyond the capacity of the space, a behavioral sink emerged. The extreme density led to a total collapse of their social structure, resulting in hyperaggression and the pathological withdrawal of individuals from the group. Overloading our social bandwidth with a constant stream of strangers forces the brain into a state of defensive tribalism. The result is a profound sense of isolation, even while living in the center of a crowded city. We are not fundamentally broken. We are simply Stone Age minds trying to navigate a space-age world. Understanding the evolutionary roots of our mismatch reveals that our pain has strategic, ancient origins. This perspective provides a narrative of dignity for our suffering, recognizing it as the price for a mind adapted for a world that no longer exists. If you want to continue exploring the hidden forces that shape human behavior, please consider subscribing. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and should not replace professional medical advice.